Hey up, cockers! It's another episode of the Darts World Weekly Podcast. And on today's show, we'll be discussing the European Tour, the US Darts Masters, the ADC and WADC Windmill Tour, and the MODUS Super Series. Plus, we will see what's on the open road. To let the Andy Cole and Dwight York of Darts World lead you to all the action, it is Harry and AJ.
Hello and welcome to this new episode of the Darts World Weekly Podcast. I am AJ Ermston-Toft.
And I am Harry Masterson.
And it must be dress down day for you, Harry, there. You know, not looking as nice as you did last time.
No, I'm definitely looking a lot better this time. And honestly, I'm so glad that at least one of the forfeits is now out the way.
Well, there's one to... As Bon Jovi says, you're halfway there.
That's why I said, that's why I said one. I know there's another one because obviously I decided to do that double or nothing, but game's a game.
Indeed. And we've had an action-packed weekend. Obviously, Thursday was the Premier League finals, and what a day that was. And here is a quick snippet of that show.
But then, over the next few weeks, we was getting different winners because Nathan Aspinall put one to his credit, and then Luke Humphries put one to his credit, and then it was just each and every week we was stumped for the Predictor League because every week it was a different winner, or it was a couple of weeks on the spin. But the quarterfinals, it was harder to pick than a broken nose.
Exactly. With the shorter format as well, it was extremely hard. I think a lot of times when we were doing the Predictor League, it was a case of who's going to edge the last leg decider, because a lot of the games and how close the players are in terms of quality, you just automatically assumed that the games were going to be going the distance. And looking back, after MVG won the three nights in Berlin, Glasgow and Newcastle, I think Aspinall won the night in Exeter literally just before the UK Open started. And then it was a following on from an MVG hat-trick in nights 2 to 4. It was a Humphries hat-trick from nights 6 to 8.
There you are, guys. That is one of our sister shows. That was our Premier League review, and that is the whole of the Premier League, not just the finals night. But get clicking on the link below, and you can watch that episode in its entirety. But that's just not what's been happening this week. Since Thursday, there's been so many tournaments with so many three-lettered acronyms. I think we need to start going now before we run out of time. It is the PDC first with their European Tour. And this weekend was the Dutch Darts Championships, and what an event.
What an event, and again some fantastic performances. And obviously the main man, in fact, is a player that was a lot of people tipped to be the next big thing. I feel like that might have hindered him for a little while, but it was really nice to see him pick up a win this weekend. It is in fact Josh Rock. He defeated Johnny Clayton in the final 8-4, and like I said before, it's very nice to see Josh Rock winning his first European Tour event.
It was the first time where he kind of looked unshackled, really. He was just playing freely and playing some really good stuff.
Definitely. Would you say that with Luke Littler coming through, do you think the pressure's now off Josh Rock in terms of him going into future competitions, thinking that I'm not the one that's meant to be the emerging talent anymore? I can just go at my own pace now and go into each competition thinking I just want to do my best.
I think there's going to be an element of that because, you know, Luke Littler at this moment in time is getting all the attention because of his accomplishments. But I think it's just leaving, and I don't think it's just Josh on that. I think there's a fair few players which are now happy with that, because then you haven't got the pressure from the media being put onto these players. I mean, look at Ross Smith. He won the European Tour finals, and it was that added a bit of pressure, I think, for the Worlds and a couple of subsequent events. But now Luke Little has taken the limelight in some aspects. I think they can just get on with it and play their thing. And, Josh Rock proved, that not wanted pressure is letting him play more freely.
When you look at Josh Rock's winning run at the Dutch Darts Championship, he obviously beat Clayton in the final. In the semi-finals, it was a win over Martin Schindler, who has already won a European Tour this year. And in the quarterfinals, it was Gerwyn Price, who looked like he'd returned to his usual form again. He was hitting 100 averages more on the regular. The doubles were going in as well for him. So it was nice to see Price doing well after what was not the best Premier League campaign.
Yeah, I think now the Premier League is over. I think that, like Peter Wright, like Gerwyn Price and Rob Cross, then they can just get on with the week, get on with the standard week of darts where they can practice in their normal slots and get to tournaments, and they can just carry on their usual traveling arrangements rather than adding this extra Thursday in, which could be a travel day for some people. Some people might take more time to relax into venues or into different places, so they can adjust better now.
Yeah, I remember at the end of the Premier League, Gerwyn Price was saying that he was very happy that the Premier League was over. I think he put something on his social media, and the thing is, he actually did play really well in the tournament. It was just he was a little bit unlucky. Like, I think the performances he was producing were up to his usual standards, but he was just found out by a very high quality field in the end.
Yeah, and such a short format. I mean, I play best of three, but this first to six it's a short format for these players, and the games can be over by leg three, essentially, because if you have that hold, break, hold, or a break, hold, break, you're 3-0 up, and then, you're having to try and break the darts on one or two occasions. And when they're throwing in 12 to 15 darts, that's near on impossible. So whereas if if it goes with throw, or, like more often than not, it's all on that last leg. And I think that's where Gerwyn's game is, really, that last leg decider. He is a clutch player after all.
Yeah, and moving back to Josh Rock as well, like, obviously now that he's won this first European Tour, he's going to be representing Northern Ireland at the World Cup for the first time in June alongside Brendan Dolan after that was confirmed over the weekend. Surely this competition win is going to give him some much needed confidence going into that tournament, and who knows, it could be a first World Cup win for Northern Ireland.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not just for this the World Cup, but for all subsequent events. Now he's got that European Tour title, under his belt. He can play again more freely. He knows how to win one. He's done it once, and now he wants that winning feeling more often. And I think this is just going to be probably one of the catalysts of his career.
As you mentioned, he's got that winning fit. He knows now what to do in terms of going into competitions and winning. I remember that Grand Slam campaign when he first broke through, where he had the 9-darter against Van Gerwen, and people were talking about, oh, Rock's going to be the next big thing. And obviously he's had a little bit of a dip in terms of not winning any trophies, but he's now got that win again. There's obviously the Pro Tour still, and he knows how to win on that. So it remains to be seen what he's going to do this year.
Definitely. It's going to be an exciting few months for Josh Rock, and not just Josh Rock. I mean, there's a whole lot of players there, and now we're going into these more televised events. I think they're more wide open than ever.
Yeah, you look at the Pro Tours at the minute in terms of the amount of different winners we've seen on that, and that just proves your point even more with the format being so open. Like, I think darts is turning into a little bit of like when a golf tournament starts, or when a horse race starts, you genuinely don't have an idea of who is actually going to win, and sometimes that in sport is what you want.
Yeah, we did brush on this on the Premier League review, where the darts is selling the darts in terms of putting bums on seats. It's not the rivalries, it's not the needle, it's not one name at the top. At the moment, as we've said, Luke Little is taking more headlines than the other players. But in terms of how to promote the darts, you look at the players from top to bottom and the Pro Tour, and for these events, you pick them, and it's like we're doing a predictor league, and I'm looking at it already. I'm going, I ain't got a clue, mate.
And obviously, you mentioned that we are going to be doing a predictor league for the match play. So this is we're just proving the point now that it's not going to be easy when we're doing them in July.
Yeah, don't take our picks as locked in and ready to go at a bookmakers, because believe me, it is really hard to pick some of these games.
Yeah, I wore a Liverpool shirt as a result of my predictions. So obviously, don't listen to what I've got to say.
Yeah, know your limits. So that was the European event, but the World Series of Darts is back, and we are going to New York, New York. So darts is returning to New York City. It is at the MSG Theatre. I mean, Madison Square Garden, one of the most world famous arenas. It's home of the WrestleMania 1, 10, and 20 for them wrestling marks. It's been home to many great boxing events and music events. Billy Joel has a residency there. And Harry, you've been there as well.
I have indeed. I went a few years ago. I watched the New York Knicks take on the Portland Trailblazers in a basketball game, and it was a fantastic arena. And I'm sure the players that are heading out to the States this weekend are going to have a fantastic time playing in the US Darts Masters.
Yes, and there's not just the US Darts Masters. You've also got the North American Open, which defending champion Jeff Smith will be at, and hopefully defending his title. It's going to be a solid weekend of darts. And in terms of the US Darts Masters, it's going to be a very difficult one to call.
Certainly, it's the top. So I think the PDC All Stars is pretty much the Premier League lineup that was that we were seeing for 16 weeks, and then the final four played in the O2. And then we've also got some North American qualifiers as well. I think the ones that I've seen that will be playing so far: Jules Van Doggen, a tour card holder; Danny Lauby, who's also a tour card holder, and of course Stowe Bance as well, who reached the Grand Slam quarters last year. So there's some good North American players taking part as well.
Yeah, he had a really, really good run there, Stowe Bance at the World Championships, and you couldn't really miss him, could you, with some of them outfits? I know I wear some Gavin shirts from time to time, but I think he took the biscuit.
Well, let's see if he draws Peter right, because we can have a little competition of who's got the better outfit.
Blimey. Wear sunglasses.
That'll be the telling fact. That'll be the difference maker.
4 wild cards, as they say in America.
Absolutely. I remember, obviously, Matt Campbell is going to be there, and I remember he was one of the players that was in Luke Littler's run to the World Championship final. I think he played Matt Campbell in his first game after the Christmas break, and obviously Matt Campbell's played, I think he's reached a Pro Tour final before, so he's definitely got the quality to be able to cause some upsets in this tournament.
Yeah, and I think it's not going to be a one-way traffic in terms of the PDC superstars, as they're being called. You know, these are 8 tough opponents that they're going to be coming across, and you know, as you say, the likes of Danny Lauby, who has gone deep into tournaments, and Matt Campbell, who took out James Wade in the World Championships, and Story Buds going to the quarters. This is going to be a very interesting tournament. I think it could be a real kickstart for a US darts, infiltration of the top 128.
I completely agree. I think the format of it is the first round of the US Darts Masters will be on the Friday, our time. And then the North American Championship will be on during the afternoon of the Saturday. So if any of the American players do make it through their first round ties, they'll have had a whole competitions played in the afternoon, and then they'll head into the evening session. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, they've got, it's kind of not a double-edged sword, but they've got a very competitive game against an elite player as a warm-up to the North American Darts Championship. So they're all going to be warm-ish. And then, if they go deep into that tournament and they're playing in the next round of the US Darts Masters, they're going to be in some form, definitely.
Spot on. And the stakes for that tournament as well couldn't be higher, because if you do win the North American Darts Championship, you automatically get a place at the Ali Pali. Leonard Gates obviously benefited from that 2 years ago. Jeff Smith was
Massively.
there last year, and they're going to want to win that as well as going deep in the US Darts Masters.
Absolutely, absolutely. So a thoroughly fun weekend ahead in New York City. Make sure they get to Katz's Deli where they can recreate Harry Met Sally scene. But might look a bit different with Peter Wright sitting against Stoey Bunce. So that is the PDC news, but now we have to venture into the ADC. So it was the ADC Windbound Tour over in Middlesbrough this weekend, and not just the ADC, but the WADC as well. And Harry, you was there on hand, providing Darts World viewers with great content over the weekend.
Yes, I indeed was there in Middlesbrough, creating as much content as possible from all the matches that were taking part. It's so hard trying to keep them on top of all of them matches. There's like 50 boards in one. Like, remember when you were in school and there's the big sports hall where you did PE lessons in, and it's just it's just 50 boards all around the hall, and you've got to follow it on your phone and go around all the matches trying to get the content. But it was a fantastic weekend. In event 5, it was in fact Gemma Hayter who was playing in her first WADC, I should say, championship tour weekend. She beat Steph Clark in the final, and later on in the day, Fallon Sherrick 93 average to defeat Gemma Hayter 5-1 in the final. So there was some high quality darts in the WADC on the Saturday.
Yes, and regular viewers of Darts World on Twitter and on Facebook saw a little write-up about Jamie Hayter joining the MODUS group and being part of that stable. And right from the get-go, she's one win and one semi-final on day one of, well, events 5 and 6 on the Saturday. And then moving on to the Sunday, she only goes and does it again.
Yep, she started the weekend with the win, and Gemma Hayter ended the weekend with the win. It was a fantastic weekend. I said to her in her interview as well, surely this is the cherry on top of the cake. You sign with MODUS and then you go and win 2 competitions over the weekend. Like, what more can you ask for? And going back onto the other competition that took place over in Middlesbrough, and it was Vicky Prum, who was the WADC number 1 going into the weekend, and she remains the number 1 as she beat Natalie Gilbert. Only just. She beat Natalie Gilbert 5-3 in the final, and if you see on the Darts World socials, you can see that she hits the bullseye for a 95 finish, and there was a lot of pressure on her in that as well.
Yeah, and congratulations to Natalie Gilbert. A great run to the final there at the weekend. And just looking at the table for the WADC, looking at the top 10, you've got Vicky Prum there on 288 points, followed by Fallon Sherrick. Angela Kirkwood is 3rd, with Dita Hedman 4th. Gemma Hayter straight in at number 5 with just is her first weekend in the WADC. Lorraine Hyde 6th, Samantha Curtin 7th, Eleanor Cairns in 8th at the moment, and then Joanne Aldershaw is 9th and Kim Holden is 10th. But it's the top 8 that go through to the Windmill Tour finals at the MODUS Arena. And then moving on to the men's event, again, a super weekend of darts.
A super weekend of darts. And on the Saturday, it was dominated by one player, Joe Croft. Didn't win a single event in the opening weekend, but out of nowhere, won event 5. He beat Andy Bolson in the final. It was actually a good final because Joe pushed himself out into the lead very early on, but Andy came back into it and it got to within a leg, and Joe Croft knew he just needed to hold his throw and not force that deciding leg. And in the second final, it actually did go to a last leg against Neil Duff, but he got over the winning line. And all in all, it was a fantastic effort from him. A long day as well in Middlesbrough, and to win both competitions is extremely, extremely difficult.
But then moving on to the Sunday and event 7 winner, Thomas Banks and Charlie Martin of event 8.
Yeah, Thomas Banks, 17 years old, and again, a fantastic tournament from him. He had a very good semi-final against James Richardson. He was 4-0 up in the blink of an eye, and obviously the format is first to 5, so 4-0 up, you're one leg away, and you just have to make sure you could probably hold your throw. You got two or maybe even 3 chances to do that. And in the final against Caden Smith, Caden Smith played really well, by the way. It was just Banks took his chances when he needed to, and it started a little bit nervy in terms of both of them were like nervy early on in terms of hitting their doubles, but once they both got that first double, the confidence just started to show from both of them.
Exactly. It was a great match to watch, and the highlights, that you provided with the finishing. No one seems to be missing at the moment. But moving on to the tables for the ADC, Gary Stone there still at top with 697 points. But after that great weekend by Joe Crofty, he's now in second place. Third is Andy Bolton. Fourth is Bradley Brooks. Thomas Banks moves up to fifth. The Duff man, Neil Duff, is up to sixth. Charlie Martin, 7th, and James Weldon is 8th at this moment in time after 2 great weekends, the first weekend of Middlesbrough and this second weekend. But James Richardson not so far behind in 9th, and Caden Smith in 10th. And with 2 weekends, 8 events to go, it is still all to play for, and that table can change very drastically, very quickly.
Yeah, we're now at the halfway mark. And again, many congratulations to Charlie Martin as well for winning event 8. It was a fantastic performance in his final with Thomas Banks. He denied Thomas pretty much the Joe Croft day on the Saturday. Thomas nearly did the same thing on the Sunday, but it was a very good performance from Charlie. Got a break early on, 78 checkout to win it in 2 darts. So the doubles were there for him in the final. And going back onto the championship to order of merit, there's still plenty of tournaments still to go. Neil Duff is still there in the mix despite not winning a competition. I think he's reached 2 finals now, so he's just racking up the points. A bit like Luke Littler in the Premier League, not winning it, but he's getting a load of the point. He's getting the points in, and he knows what he needs. He knows he has to finish in that top 8 at the end of it, and he's definitely going the right way about it despite not winning yet.
Exactly. So all to play for in the ADC. And one of the advantages of the ADC is the close relationship that they have with the MODUS Super Series. And we move on to the MODUS Super Series Champions Week. So with the MODUS Super Series Champions Week, we said time and time again, as and when each winner was winning their respective weeks, we were saying it was looking to be one of the best Champions Weeks that has been seen on MODUS, and they did not disappoint.
It was a fantastic Champions Week. I think we already knew that with the 12 players that had qualified for Champions Week, it was going to be another fantastic week on the MODUS, and as you said, it didn't disappoint. The final as well, what a final between Andreas Harrison and Cam Crabtree. Cam Crabtree 1-7-1. It goes to a final leg. It's 3-all, first to 4. Cam Crabtree 1-7-1 score to leave himself on double 4, and Andreas Harrison comes to the hockey and he needs 121 to win it. Single 20, treble 17, bullseye, and he's £25,000 richer.
I mean, Cam Crabtree must have been thinking, did he have 6 darts or 3 darts? And, to tell you the truth, I probably forgot myself in all the excitement. But he had the most powerful arm in the world and asked himself one question, did he feel lucky? And he did, and he hit the 1-2-1.
It all came down to that bullseye, and it was a fantastic shot from Andreas Harrison. He obviously beat Bo Greaves in the semi-finals as well. She had a fantastic campaign in Champions Week. She topped Group A earlier in the week, so she had the 2 days off to prepare for the finals day and the finals night, I should say. And I don't think she disappointed at all.
No, not at all. She played some exceptional stuff. I'm not even going into this gender thing that she's playing well for one. She was just playing well, full stop. That is it, And I think people need to take this aspect out of their head. She's not just a phenomenal women's player. She's just a phenomenal player, full stop. And you see this in more events that she's going to be playing in.
Yes, and you go back to that Group A campaign, and it was a very competitive field in terms of trying to get that top spot in the group to qualify. Connor Heenahan and Bradley Brooks were both there to try and put the pressure on her, but she did prevail in the end. And all in all, it was a very good week, and she's now playing in the women's week this week in the Super Series, and we'll obviously cover this next week, but at the minute, as we speak, she's 10 for 10.
Yeah, she's throwing some really good stuff, and obviously you've got the race to the match play, the women's match play hotting up, and she's got to be the favourite, if not one of them.
Yeah, she's definitely going to want to defend her title. She obviously won, it was her debut last year in the Winter Gardens, and she went and won the whole thing, and I'm sure she's going to be thinking in the back of her mind, I want to win that again, just like she did with the World Championships in the Lakeside.
Definitely. But as I said, one of the best weeks of Championship Week darts. We've got this little break at the moment with the women's darts, but then all action stations start again with the MODUS Super Series.
Absolutely, and also a quick special mention as well to Darius Labanauskis winning the WDF event and then going into Champions Week. He obviously started his campaign in Group B, qualified via Group B, and again, he was actually my pick to win the Champions Week after his successes before the competition, and he went on to reach the semi-finals. But again, he'll be back in the next series, and I'm sure he'll be threatening to try and win that Champions Week and the weekly title, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking back now, and I'm looking at each of the Champions Weeks, and yes, there is a lot to get to that Champions Week, but once you're in that Champions Week, it is the unofficial World Championships, because you get players from all over the world playing in these week by week, and then it culminates in Champions Week, and these are the best players without a tour card, and they are showing you really don't need a tour card to compete at the elite level. I mean, this is a very, very, very high level of darts we're looking at.
Absolutely. I remember when the last Champions Week was on and we spoke on the podcast, and there was a match between Tom Sykes and Scott Taylor, and they were both averaging above 102. So that just shows that where the standard was in that Champions Week. And there were similar sort of performances again in this Champions Week. Bo Greaves was hitting 10+ averages on the regular. I saw Harris. I don't think Andreas Harrison started his campaign in the best of form, but his first win, 102 average. It just goes to show that he just needed to wake up, and he certainly woke up at the end of the tournament.
Definitely so. Congratulations to Andreas Harrison on his championship week win.
Many congratulations.
So as we said with Bradley Brooks, he's doing a lot of hours on the road. My daytime job, do a lot of hours on the road. But guys, we need to find out what is on the open road. So we are heading into June, and the first day of June, and there's so many competitions to shake a stick at. You have, first of all, in Blackpool, the Icon June Grand Slam, and that is at Q's Sports Lounge in Blackpool on Lytham Road, FY16EF. This is a Grand Slam event, so there's group stages and knockout stages. Entry fee is £10, and entry is done via your Darts Atlas website. So also on the 1st of June, you've got the second qualifier in the Northwest for the Red Dragon Doubles Cup. That's at the Pendlebury Social Club in Swinton, Greater Manchester. And again, entries available on your Darts Atlas website.
Certain competitor in that as well, in there, AJ?
Yeah, there's a certain Mark Frost and Jake Jones playing in that event as well, so it should be a good weekend there.
What about yourself?
Shh, don't tell everyone. Also, on the 1st of June, you have the Jill Hurrell Memorial Darts Tournament, and that is at the Stanton Village Club, Stanton near the Broadway, and entries available at the venue. £500 guaranteed to the winner, and all the details of where it is on the poster on your screen now. On the 2nd of June, you have the Lostock Hall Grand Slam. That is at the Lostock Hall Conservative Club, Brown Edge Road in Preston. and that is £11 entry payable cash on the day, and that is group format and knockouts with 24 players maximum entry. And also the 6th of July, you have the Head Neck Cancer Foundation Open. That is at the High Earlham Social Club in Greater Manchester. Entry is £10 with £500 going to the winner, and there's plenty of other things going on as well. There is a plate competition for first round losers, and there's raffles and tombolas, and we just want to raise as much money as possible for a great cause in the Head Neck Cancer Foundation. Speaking of the Head Neck Cancer Foundation, yours truly is also taking part in Tough Mudder at Heaton Park, Greater Manchester. That is the first Saturday of the World Match Play, so I won't be there on the Saturday because I'll be busy getting muddy, I'll be busy going in ice water, and I'll be busy getting electrocuted with up to 10,000 volts, all for a great cause in the Head Neck Cancer Foundation. There will be a link of where you can donate. If you can donate as much as you can, I would be very much appreciated of that.
Is it like an assault course? Because you said you're going to get muddy, you're going to get wet, you're going to get electrocuted. Seems like a lot of things to be happening in a 10K race.
Yeah, so it's a 10K. It's not a race. It's a 10K assault course. So there's 20 stations, and they mix from. They have one which is called the Arctic Enema, which is a slide into ice water. And when I say ice water, you physically see the ice cubes in the water that you're about to land in. So that can be painful. And then there's an electric commando crawl where you have electric pads underneath. So it feels you're getting electrocuted from underneath. And then also there's a whole host of muddy activities and water activities. And then right at the end, you go down the Electric Avenue where the finish line is. And there is random cables at various volts, with one of them being 10,000. And if you get hit with that, you definitely know about it.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be one grueling day for you, but it's all for a great cause, as you said. And obviously, guys, get donating, because trust me, he's going to have a very long day ahead with that. Definitely
a long day ahead. And if I lose the predictor week that week, I am not going to be a happy bunny.
Well, do you know what? You deserve to win. You lose a predictor league, you won both in the Premier League, so that needs to change, because I'm not doing any more forfeits.
So that is the open road, and that is the end of this show. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we do making it. Just leaves me to say it is game, shot and match for this episode. My name is AJ Urmston-Toft.
And my name is Harry Masterson.
And we will see you in the next round.